was used to the noise of people like, hating or like loving you. Like it's like there's a lot of fans and there's a lot of haters and everything that you do. And it kind of remains the same in Valorant, but one thing is like I don't let the noise really get to me too much, and that's also like another perk of having people to talk to is just like you can just kind of like put that stuff to the side because it's not really important, like you don't have to focus on it too much.
Everyone, Sage2 in here. I'm here with GTE Sports Leaf on BCC America's Media Day. So it's kind of been a really busy 2025 season for you already.
Mhm.
After Bangkok, I'm just curious, what was the past week like for you, and what were some of the reflections that you had after a really close grand final and just a really solid run at Bangkok.
I think reflection wise, I think there was a lot to take away. Like we lost a lot of dumb rounds and I played pretty badly in the final. Overall, like there's nothing to be too like sad about though. Just because of the fact that like, we made it second. A lot of teams can't say that they made it to top two of an international event. But, there's definitely still like takeaways. Obviously we lost. So like it's easy to learn when you lose. But even if we were to win that final, there's a lot of things to take away. And just the past week has just been like recovery. I was sick for the past week, but recovery, making sure we get our time off. Like we don't want to be burnt out heading into the stage one. And it's like not too much has changed. Like Waylay's been added, but we don't need to catch up necessarily. Like the map pool changes aren't the biggest deal to us. So yeah, it's just been about recovery.
I'm actually curious about that burnout aspect, just because of how Valorant has such a. I mean, the schedule can be condensed
Yeah.
so much. You've been a pro for quite some time. For you specifically, how much time do you feel like you usually need in order to, in between breaks, so that you can not feel burnt out by the end of the season?
Um, I don't think I really necessarily like, get burnt out because I kind of take like practice outside of the game, like not so like pressuring. Like I don't play too much outside of the game, and it's like so I never really am in a headspace where like I feel burnt out. But I think that like just a week break, like in between these events, these stages and stuff like that, is like more than enough. Depending on like the time that you have,
Yeah.
because like obviously like the turnaround time from like when we left Thailand to like the start of stage is like it's 3 weeks, but there's changes and like we still need to practice and get back into it. So it's like we need time off, but we also need to make sure we're good for the first matches.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just had to adjust my mic. But I'm actually also curious because you talked about how you don't really play the game as much during that time. So what are things that you do outside of Valorant to be able to just detach a bit from the game? Is it just going for walks? Are there any other hobbies that you do to kind of separate Leaf from Nathan?
Um, I like to play like all sorts of games. Like just because I'm not playing Valorant doesn't mean I'm not playing like games. But yeah, I mainly just play different games. Just hang out with friends. Like I think one thing that is especially hard for people coming over from like South America and stuff like that, and even like people from all over America is like you get kind of lonely, in my opinion, and like having people to talk to and having some sort of like physical contact with like people that aren't just like your teammates is definitely very important, and it like helps you like maintain that mental like edge that you kind of need when you're a competitor. So I think like that's like the number one thing is just like I want to make sure that I'm happy, cause or at least like happy enough. Like obviously everything isn't very good all the time, but it's good to keep like a level head or at least try to.
Was that something that you kind of picked up or learned was really important during the pandemic? Because I think you were about 15 at that 15, right?
Yeah, like 16. It wasn't something necessarily from the pandemic, honestly. It was more so like just learning like over the years and like kind of growing up is like, I went from the pandemic when I was like 15, 16, and then I'm alone or not alone, but I'm home with all my family and stuff like that for that whole time. And then, after that, it's like I moved kind of immediately to LA, like still during like the end of COVID and stuff like that. So it's like, I
I move immediately to LA. I'm in a team house with a bunch of people, and it's like it's different. Like even though I have a bunch of people, it's very different. And then it's like once I move out of that team house and I leave C9, it's like then it's even more different, and you kind of don't realize what you have until like it's kind of gone. And like I've talked to like people that were on like old C9 like that first year, and it's like it definitely is something that like you don't really realize like how nice it is to just have people to talk to every single day. And yeah, like that is like a big thing that is definitely underrated, and like I honestly think it's like the biggest thing that domestic players have versus like South America players, for example.
That's actually a really interesting perspective, especially for you, because you went from CS:GO where you're with Chaos Esports, where you had two of your Cloud. I think it was like Vanity and Zeppa, going to Cloud9. So I think my question goes to after that Cloud9 saga, where you're kind of entering a new phase of G2, where it's teammates that you haven't really played with before. How was that change like for you, kind of adjusting, socially and kind of feeling something new like that?
I mean, I think I like kind of not like pride myself, but I mean, I definitely think I'm a very social person, and like I get along with a lot of people. So it's not too hard to like adjust to like new people and like new environments, but it was more so just like, you play with the same people for so long, and you kind of get ingrained with like them, and they get ingrained with you. So it's like every change is just change, whether it's good or bad. And one thing is just like, I mean, I think this team is like one of the most fun teams like ever. Like we have a lot of fun during everything that we do, like out of game, in of game, or inside the game. But it's just, getting used to that just takes some time. Whether or not it's, bad time or good time, it's like everything just kind of takes its time.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. Another thing I just wanted to quickly ask you about was when you first entered CS:GO, you were kind of viewed as, this next up and coming player and a prodigy, and then you eventually transitioned into Valorant. I just wanted to ask you, what was the reasoning behind wanting to switch over into Valorant, and then how did you kind of, at that age, at 15, 14, handle all the pressure and the eyes being on you?
I mean, at the beginning, I didn't really handle it too bad, or like too good when, all the drama of that one like summer kind of happened when I was coming up in CS. But, it wasn't too hard. I kind of just played my game, and it's like I was used to the noise of people like, hating or like loving you. Like it's like there's a lot of fans and there's a lot of haters and everything that you do, and it kind of remains the same in Valorant. But one thing is like I don't let the noise really get to me too much, and that's also like another perk of having people to talk to is just like you can just kind of like put that stuff to the side because it's not really important, like you don't have to focus on it too much.
Yeah. Well, you have about a week, at least from this recording date, to go into VCT Stage 1 and the rest of 2025. I guess, let's just take away results, right? Because I know obviously you're going to want to win, right? But what are some goals that you'd want to see for yourself in order to call 2025 successful?
Win Masters and win champs, obviously, like that's the big picture. But I think starting off with just, another regional trophy is like the first step, and, making sure that we get as many champ points as we can. Individually, like I always have the same kind of goals for myself. And like after Thailand, I learned what I need to do to be the best, and kind of what I, need to not do in order to feel the best and stuff like that. So it's just a culmination of all of that, and then like making sure that we have like our ambitions to look forward to.
Awesome, Leaf. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.